So needless to say, there's been some volatility in our marketplace to get this year started, but looks pretty good so far. We're still close to up. It's not hit that bear market just yet. Real estate's doing okay. And as I always say, there's the economy out there, and then there's the one between your own ears. There's nobody better to help us understand really what's happening in this marketplace, but also what you can do about it than our good friend, president of Illumination Wealth, Matt Rinke. Matt, good to have you on the show again.
Good to be here, Craig.
And then we have a guest here, first-time offender, Charles Williams, who's a tax planning attorney, which is so important when we talk about, my metaphorically economy in between your own ears. These are things you can work on today to empower yourself. So Charles, we're going to have a lot of fun with you today. Let's talk about the volatility of the marketplace. I think I misspoke. I think the market's actually down pretty bad this year, but a lot of volatility. But where are we? Let's look forward.
Every time you blink, we might not be as bad as what you may have thought.
Right.
Market's down a couple of percent year to date overall. Where we were 3 short weeks ago, we might have been down 10% for the year. So things have recovered, but what you've noticed is that a lot of the things that did really well last year, the Facebooks, the Nikes of the world, they've struggled. Meanwhile, all the beaten down stocks, the oil, the energy, the gold miners, those all have started to recover. So what was worst is now first, and what was first is now the worst this year. So interesting shifts taking place beneath the market surface.
But what's the why? I mean, can you put your finger on it? Is it the presidential election? Is it Janet Yellen raising short-term rates? Is it just, this is just the nature of the game?
Part of it is just the nature of the game. Things got so sold out. And once everybody decides to hate oil or hate energy, you see things and everything decides to turn around right in your face. So when consensus opinion and when all the masses say, I no longer want to own oil or I can't own energy, you see the exact shift start to happen. And that becomes the time to own energy and the time to own gold and the time to own oil.
Well, I tried to bait you in. I brought up politics in the presidential election. We don't have to get too much in that. But in your opinion, does it matter if, let's just look at the extreme sides. You have Bernie Sanders as a socialist. I was going to say the extreme side in Trump. He's more extreme out there. The other extreme is really actually a Ted Cruz, a Tea Party conservative. When you have that big of a difference in philosophy about an economy, is there something that you would advise investors, or is it still one of those things where it doesn't matter?
Yeah, I think it pays to be informed and to make a decision and to vote when the time comes to vote. But for me, it's still so far away, and there's still so many candidates that I don't even know exactly what I'm going to be voting for. So I try not to focus on that, and that's where I focus on the taxes and focus on the presidents, on the dollar bills in my wallet.
So it's March, right? It's tax time. Actually, I would probably recommend doing your taxes earlier, maybe even leading into the new year to get a real plan in place. But Charles, let's talk about that actually. Tax planning versus just, here's all my papers, did I get a refund, right? Isn't that the way it seems to work? People either owe money or they think they get a refund versus actually having a plan. So let's talk a little bit about planning and give some advice there.
Sure. But I did want to tailor off what you're saying about the presidential election. I know that's a big topic when it comes to taxes too as well.
Oh, well, it makes a lot of sense, yeah.
One of the big things that's hitting business owners right now is the ACA, or the healthcare initiative, and so people are getting these things called a 1095B in the mail.
Okay.
And they go, what the heck is this thing? I've never seen this before. And it's all part of the new initiative, healthcare. That could all go away in a year. You never know.
So let's speak to the business owner first. What's some good advice for business owners going into this year?
One of the interesting things for business owners that they're going to come up on, let's say you have a corporation or an S corporation, they'll know that it's due by March 15th. So that's that's hot and heavy right now.
Yeah.
Going forward, though, you want to ensure, Matt and I have talked about this a lot of times, is if you want to make a retirement contribution, some kind of contribution, there's certain deadlines you have to meet. You want to make sure you make it by those deadlines, otherwise you lose your opportunity to do it.
And what are some of the rules on those retirement accounts? I mean, there's the individual and then businesses, and then there's workarounds. I mean, you're a tax planning attorney, so in my estimation, that means that you actually sit down with someone and really look at the plan versus what I did earlier with my paperwork and shuffling. It's really, you have an LLC, maybe you should have an S Corp, maybe you should have a C Corp, and there's different strategies, different dates, different fiscal years. So when you're sitting down and you're advising somebody, what are you looking for, and how do you even start this off?
One of the neat things that's out there is something, again, that Matt and I have employed together is we call it a backdoor Roth contribution.
Okay.
And so it's an opportunity for a higher earning taxpayer you're not going to get a deduction for contributing to IRA. And there's a lot of rules as far as what you can contribute to a Roth. But there's a certain way to do it when you meet with your tax advisor that you can kind of say, well, I want to make a Roth contribution, and everybody knows a Roth is great because it grows tax-free as opposed to, being in a deductible IRA.
So Matt, is this, when you're advising someone, you're not coming on TV and radio shows and giving opinions in the market, but you're actually sitting down with, whether it's one of our viewers or just one of your clients outside of the show, you're obviously looking at the overall financial plan. Now, with someone like Charles, is it where you guys kind of work as a 1-2 punch where he's going to look at these things, help to make some educated decisions on the tax planning, and that in turn can help you redirect where that money's going? I mean, how does the synergy work between the two of you on that?
Yeah, oftentimes, a client has a big picture plan, and you'll see when it comes to the investments or business, all these things are interrelated. They all need to be integrated. And so, knowing what the client's objectives are allows us to really figure out, hey, is this a really good tax strategy for them? And bringing in Charles and all of us getting on the same page about, does this work? Will this help accomplish the goals? And how can we go about doing that? Because we would never want to do something just for tax that could jeopardize someone being able to make a down payment. So that's why we all need to be working together and being proactive about the financial planning, being proactive about the tax planning, so we're not here March 15th and missing an opportunity.
Would you typically sit down with someone at the same time, or is there an order to the process?
We do it both ways. There's times where we're sitting down together in person, and there's times throughout the year where we're hopping on a conference call together or sending emails back and forth. In this day and age, we can do it in many ways.
What are the biggest mistakes you think people are making now when it comes to just their overall plan on taxes specifically?
From a tax side, it's pretty much what you said to begin with. When you toss up your papers, that's a great example. That was a fantastic example.
There you go.
So,
unscripted as usual, right?
So what they'll do is they'll come in and they'll say, "Here's all my stuff. This is where I'm at." But it's already February 1st, so there's not much we could have done for you at this. We could have planned, maybe buy some business assets, do a couple different planning strategies back in December that we can do to kind of correct it going forward, so you know what you're going to owe, or at least know where you want your money to go.
So is that a good takeaway piece of advice for today's show? So many people wait till April. I know we've spoke to the business owner, but really we have a lot of individuals that watch this and they wait till April to do their taxes or to get the extension. Does it start the year before if you want to do it the right way?
Absolutely, 100%. And that's part of the planning strategy is that, when you're looking at what you're going to owe in the next year, let's say you are a business owner, you say, okay, I'm going to owe, let's say, 50 grand of taxes for my C corporation. Well, what am I going to do to take care of that? Should I bonus that? Should I give bonuses? What do I want to do? And so, yes, absolutely.
So get it done at the end of the year. That plans you for the next year. All right. Well, there's certain things that they're important in any marketplace. Matt, I'm sure you can agree. Reducing your tax liability is important in any marketplace. Having the highest possible credit score is important in any marketplace. Refinancing and getting a lower mortgage rate is important in any marketplace. So whether the market goes up or down, these are things that you can take action on today. Matt Rinke has become a great partner in the program. Having Charles on here, awesome as well. If you want to reach out to these guys, illuminationwealth.com.
Correct. That's
easy
it.
enough. Connect with these guys. That's a call to action for you today. Get your strategy in place now. If you waited, it happens, but work with the best, and these guys work obviously well together. Great team. All right, coming up next, the Sewing Says segment. This is where we answer some of the questions that we've got from craigsewing.com. And speaking of, if you have any of your own questions, make sure you reach out to us there today. The contact form comes directly to me, craigsewing.com. But when we come back, Sewing Says as we answer those questions.